All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Flex Zone. Of course, we got D in here, and we're joined by the Wrestling Realm's own Brian H. Waters and Dwayne Allen.
That's
good,
us.
y'all?
Yeah, he makes sure he puts
the
some
real
dignity
Dwayne
on my
Allen.
name.
I am the real one now. That's true.
I had to put, what you say, put some respect on your name?
I said put some dignity. You know, I'm original. I'm not Birdman. I'm not, talking after a half-educated person. But let's get this show started.
My.
All right, y'all. Brian, you said 18 years ago today, The Undertaker and Mankind, Hell in a Cell, 1998.
Yeah, man, that's the site that I've gotten used to looking at. But and Dwayne was right there when we were in class, and I know he's gonna have a joke about this, but we were in class and I did a project about wrestling video. Is wrestling fake? And when we showed that vision of Foley falling off the cell, the look on everybody's faces in class was just indescribable. Me, I'm used to it. We done seen the clip a million times. It's on every WWE Network special. They have that match on 20 WWE DVDs.
You're lying.
But for people who just see it for the first time, it's like, wow,
Right.
Dwayne?
It's one of those things that you can't forget it even if you tried. Like you said, like Brian said, you see it on every video package. I remember when I as a youngster when I watched it, even after it passed, I was always trying to go back to like Hollywood Video around my grandparents' way, so because they actually had King of the Ring, and I was like, I need to see it live because you always saw the video packages, and even back then when they showed the recaps, they just showed video stills.
Right.
That was for WCW and for WWF at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But for so many years, you said it's been 18 now?
18 years ago.
18 years ago. For so long, I'm like, was that meant to happen or not? And for almost like 5 or 6 years, I never got a solid answer because it was no network at the time, and it was talked about in kayfabe. You know what I mean? They really didn't talk about it in like, the during the real era type. We were discussing it, right? So I'm like, did Mankind mean to do that? Did they just get carried away? Was it planned out? Because Undertaker looks like he's standing up there after he does it, like, oh shoot, was this? And I'm just like, they stop the match, he comes back down. I don't know what's going on. So a lot of times it was like, but it was one of the things where if you weren't sure how the entertainment value sort of factored into professional wrestling at the time, I'm like, man, I understand this is all a show, but I'm not sure if that was supposed to happen or not. So I mean,
honestly, that's a question I've never got answered to this day. Was it? Now I know the choke slam. They said that wasn't scripted.
Yeah,
but
I think
the actual throwing off the
it's
cell.
Foley's idea.
It was Foley's idea.
All this time he came out, he finally said, "Yeah, it was." He's like, "I knew what I wanted to do going into it, but he, trying to leave a mark, trying to make a,
he was in a
lasting
bad
impression."
place in his life at the time too, right?
Yeah, relatively. Yeah,
He was.
You know what I mean? So, but it also propelled him at a small expense, I guess, because his body began to break down slowly. But it also transitioned him into the next phase of who Mankind would eventually become, which is the more comedic, lovable fan favorite that sort of boosted his career towards. I can't even say the end. I say the middle because he's one of those timeless guys that never seem to retire.
It's funny you say that, if you don't mind, that right after that, when people started kind of feeling sorry for him, like you said, the sympathy factor, when you think about the summer of 98, you go back, and I advise everybody, go back and look at that Fully Loaded and that SummerSlam.
Ooh, no.
Wow.
That was the transition. And even though he was a titled heel, you hated Kane, but Mankind, you felt a soft spot for him. And then it just elevated until when they ultimately did the screw job part 2 at Survivor Series.
Yeah, they did.
When Mankind, everybody started loving him then with when he eventually become WWE champion.
And D?
Yeah, man, I tell you, 18 years ago, I watched that match live. I said,
You saw it live?
Smoke, yes.
Oh, that's insane.
I said, holy smokes. Because, them two guys that went at it so much
yes.
in the past
Back
2
in
years.
96.
96, yeah.
It's like, what can they do to top it? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, they topped it, boy. I thought that Boiler Room match they had at SummerSlam 96 was something.
Yeah.
Was something funny when Paul Bearer betrayed the Undertaker.
I mean, the Boiler Room, even the Buried Alive match.
Yeah.
Very live match. They had
was
a
that
match.
Mind Games? Was that Buried Alive?
Yeah, it was one of the Mind Games.
Mind Games.
Something like
They
that.
had a match
house
where
pay-per-views.
Undertaker just wailing on Mankind.
Look, even their first match at the King of the Ring
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 96, yeah.
was brutal.
When Undertaker came out looking like Batman.
Oh, yeah, because his face was burned.
Survivor Series 96.
But like
Oh,
Brian and
wow.
Dwayne was saying, though, once you seen Mankind transition over, and remember that King of the Ring, that wasn't the main event. It was
No,
Austin and Kane.
but they stole the show.
And they came back out and interfered in that match.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, he came out, like, he didn't even have his mask on, did he?
No.
No.
It's like
Bloody
the
and
night's,
everything.
The night's over. Go to the hospital, and he was just like, "No, I still got to show it." And the crazy part is, when you watch that, that's they show that clip so much, you assume that was it. That was in the match. That match continued.
Yeah.
It was the beginning.
Right. It
Right.
was at the very
It was
first
like
5
the
minutes
first.
of the
It
match.
was like the first 3 because I think Mankind first climbed on the cell, then the Undertaker followed him.
Yeah.
Right. He goes flying off. Then gets off, goes back up, choke slam to the cage. Thumbtacks were pulled out, and it was just like.
And Jim Ross sold that baby, man.
That was the perfect.
Oh, my.
I think
Good
that was.
person
I
to
think like
commentate
it
on
seems
that.
so real. I think they were like fed up. Like, man, we gotta. We're calling for the doctors, and you guys are not coming out. This is unprofessional.
It's a
Like-
human being out
right.
there.
like he went from coming to like HR department really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have medical staff for a reason. They need to make their way out to the back. Like he's trying to make a call, and I'm like, man, that was too real. But those were the moments that also define that era, though.
No
You know
doubt.
what I mean? Like, you weren't asking, was it real or fake? Even with so many things that were coming out to expose the wrestling industry at the time, everybody's like, it doesn't even matter. And yeah, you can tell me it's fake, but the programming was so legit that you looked at it and you said, man, you can say what you want, but I'm not sure if that's real or not, because that don't look like it was fake. It didn't look like it was scripted. Because you would say, well, who would script this stuff? You know, nobody knew how insane Vince McMahon and his family could possibly go, but we found out back in
yes, they
'98,
did.
I guess. So.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow, because I mean that's an epic moment in wrestling history.
Yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of epic moments in history, we had all 3 members of the Shield actually win the World Heavyweight Championship in one night.
That's correct. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah,
now
that
they're
was
fighting. Now they're fighting in a triple threat match at Battleground.
As of right now, say.
Yeah, it's still that way.
Look, I mean, as a Raw, we still have the match. So
No, that's true. I mean, I remember going back when the Shield first began to really make their impact. I can't say when they debuted. When they started to make their impact, one of the things I kept saying, even in the realm of the group, Facebook group, I said the Shield's going to go down as probably one of the most impactful factions of all time. And there ain't no people that argue with me about it and literally left the group because of it. But this sort of shows where the heads of creative were when they said, okay, we're going to take 3 young guys who were previously, I guess the year before, they were curtain jerking at WrestleMania and Access. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To really make that impact and to sort of see it come full circle, where you say, okay, these are guys that we're going to take 3 young superstars, we're going to build them, and they become almost franchise players. And like I said, for them to all become world champions, it's you see the impact of, okay, this is what the Shield was. Like I said, it's now you can start running the DVD package now. You know what I mean? It's come full circle because now you have your Dean Ambrose matches, you have your Seth Rollins matches, you have your Roman Reigns run. We can finally get it out the way. So if they want to do it again, they have the blueprint. You know what I mean? Or they can take from it and, you know, whatever they got to do to sort of switch it up or sort of let that evolve. When you see other things, the 3-man faction groups evolve over time, the Shield will go down as probably one of the most unique and impactful factions that we've had in the world of professional wrestling.
No question.
go ahead. dude.
They got to be the most impactful because 3 world champions in one faction.
And they're
They've
all
never had
young.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, they're not at the bottom ends of their career. They're just getting
It's
started.
just getting rolling.
You know what I mean?
Seth Rollins has come back. I wish they would turn him babyface. I think eventually that has to happen. Dean Ambrose gotten a shot in the arm. He's looking great.
Mhm.
And we're getting the Roman Reigns in a moment. But even with
Wait,
his,
wait. You said that? D? You said we're getting Roman Reigns in a moment?
Oh yeah, we will.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
no,
Well, you know,
All right.
I'm not a big fan of what has transpired. And
Wait a second. That was your world champion, right?
it wasn't my world champion.
You sure?
I gave him a chance.
Oh, okay.
That's all it
All
was.
right. Well, I just
Give him
want
a
to clear it up, you know, on the air.
But
Brian.
the thing is that you look at a guy like Dean Ambrose. He was the one that I didn't think would get the title
Anytime.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know, I thought maybe a year, 2,
Mhm.
but when they pulled the trigger on him, and first of all, I would just want to say they did this on the night of perhaps I think it has went down as the most watched NBA Finals in history as far as Game 7. And for me, somebody who was had both TVs on, I watched the finals, but then I wanted to watch the celebration. But I had Money in the Bank on. And the moment I saw Dean come out, my attention shifted because I was like, wait a minute. I don't think he's going to be a guy who's going to cash in. And then we've come accustomed to waiting for when somebody's ready to cash in, and then the champion rolling out, and then the tease. But when they rung the bell, I was like, uh-oh. And it seemed like it just happened in slow motion for me when he hit the dirty deeds. 1, 2, 3. It's like, oh my gosh, Dean Ambrose is WWE champion. Is Dwayne say? Are you freaking kidding me? And so
I do say that.
Yeah. So gotta give credit where credit's due. Now I'm excited about his title reign. I haven't been this excited about a title reign since, in all honesty, since Seth Rollins first won the title.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose.
Well, you were always a Dean Ambrose guy, even when you said he came out at WrestleMania.
He was my first.
Was that Raw, that following Raw after WrestleMania that you guys went to? That he came out and said, I'm gonna be a household name or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It was during that pre-show Superstars, and that was the time when he was supposed to be beef. It was supposed to be set up for a beef with Foley.
Right.
And look at it, he had this long jacket on, sort of like he kind of looked like what the Miz wears. In all honesty, he was like, wait a minute, this guy. And I talked to some of his friends on the indie scenes, and they kept saying star, star, star. And I'm like, okay, are you saying this because this is your boy, or are you saying this because we know indie star and WWE star are two different things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even went back to watch some of his footage when he was on the indies as world champion. I said, okay, you know what? I like this guy. So to see all that come full circle, and I felt that when he was losing to Brock Lesnar, I felt like he was paying his dues for something big. Yeah. Because anybody could have went. Not anybody was going to be given that match. Let's be real. And the way we all knew he was going to lose. Let's be real. But the beating he took, I said, he's going to get an ultimate payoff. Yeah. And I'm like, wow.
Everybody got to get whooped by Brock first before you get a world title reign.
How about that, though? I mean, Rollins kind of avoided it in a sense.
He was the man. So.
But Brian Michael, why is it that the Money in the Bank winner outside of Seth Rollins get crapped on in the writing area?
You said what?
They get crapped on, like in the writing area, like they're booked weak. And then once they get that Money in the Bank, they shot to the moon.
I think they try to rock you to sleep a little bit.
Rock you to sleep, and then it also gives people, you got title contenders, say, well, I beat you before, now you got the belt, I get a shot. So now you don't, because like remember when Daniel Bryan won it, when he actually won it, True. He lost all these matches.
That's what I'm saying.
And then, but now he had all these competitors that could, viably challenge him for the title. So
I think the only one to actually win consistently was Edge. Like,
Seth Rollins too.
The Edge was hot.
I can't.
Yeah, Edge was.
I can't think of
on fire.
I can't think of nobody who actually had Money in the Bank. It was just on a roll.
But we also had to get reprogrammed to get in to believe that Edge was the main eventer.
Yes.
Because if he would have won the Money in the Bank and started losing, we'd have been like, oh, you just a mid card anyway. But we had to get used to seeing. So by the time New Year's Revolution came, I mean, you could just go back and look at the way he looked at Vince McMahon when he hands him the briefcase. And on the DVD, he said Vince told him, all right, I trust you, make me look good. And when he went out there, me as a huge Edge fan, I didn't see that one live. But when I found out hours before Raw came on, I couldn't wait to watch Raw. I was like, wow, my guy's finally world champion.
Not to mention the added heat he got, teaming up with Lita after a while.
He draws
after that feud with Matt Hardy sort of came to life on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, right now they're talking about splitting Raw and SmackDown back into doing a brand. So we have Shane running Raw, and we also have Stephanie running Raw. But there's a lot of question marks going on as to who's going to run what show. What do you guys think about the draft coming up?
I'm feeling two ways about it, because there was a time where when the draft came originally, I wasn't a big fan of it, because to me I felt like that was the end of the Attitude Era. Sort of when the program had become oversaturated with so much talent because of a lot of the WCW mid-card guys and the ECW. I feel like the ECW guys had more success than some of the WCW guys that came over. So I understand why it was necessary, and that was sort of the status quo for so many years. But then, being a few years out without the brand split, just having, all the talent under one roof, to me it makes the title seem that much more important, and it makes the shows that much more important. I don't know how many days where I chose not to watch Raw or SmackDown because I didn't know what I was going to see on that day, versus saying, okay, if I have a set roster on SmackDown, I'm going to watch the show versus Raw. I usually primarily watch Raw more than I watch SmackDown anyway. Early on when the brand shift started. Now on a positive note, I can say okay, with a brand split, I probably see more talent. We'll probably get another world champion. So I wouldn't mind AJ Styles is going to be the first guy in line. But the thing is, I don't want that to become a second-tier title all of a sudden because of the brand split.
Right.
Carlos mentioned in the Rumble, he says, anybody notice that they're not calling it the WWE World Heavyweight Championship anymore?
They're back to the WWE champion now.
I'm like, see, I don't like that because to me, that title, when they united it, that means you were the guy, like 100%, and you were the champion. But now it's like, okay, you got two champions. I'm not sure how I feel about going back to looking at it that way because then you say, okay, well, what's more important? You know what I mean? What's the okay? We'll give you the title just to hold to say you're world champion versus you're really the guy we're gonna run with. And I don't want that to be a cop out. Well, you know what I mean? Well, we don't really trust AJ Styles right now as the guy, so we'll just put a world title just so we can say we gave him a world title run. And then I don't know how I feel about it, but it's a lot of talent. If it's done correctly, it's a lot. It's different because it's live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, SmackDown's gonna be live.
So
That's
I think that'll add a different spin to it. So, I mean, so I'm looking forward to it, but I'm sort of sticking one toe in the water, maybe two toes, and sort of treading lightly to see what happens next.
Brian?
You know, I'm glad you said that. When the draft first happened in 2002, just like Dwayne, it's funny, we didn't even know each other then, but I was not a fan, and I was in the minority in my friends of my wrestling circle because I was excited. Now, we had just, in my household, we had cable at that time for probably over a year, satellite to be accurate. So I was getting accustomed to being able to watch Raw again because throughout the Attitude Era, I relied on tapes. My grandmother would record it. I would get the tape throughout the middle of the week. So I was able to see Raw and SmackDown, but we only had one satellite box in my parents' room. So SmackDown, I always watched faithfully, and I was mad when the draft happened because I wanted to see, you know, your Hogans and your Austins interact or stuff like that, you know. But when it came to the championship picture, I liked the fact that the champion, if the May pay-per-view was a SmackDown pay-per-view, that's where the champion was. He would defend the title or he would lose the belt, but then he would deal with the people on Raw for June. That's what I'm hoping they do with this. Like Dwayne was saying, you'll be a champion of the company as opposed to two titles. Do you guys know any given time where it felt that both titles had equal importance?
I thought in the beginning when they had the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw, I thought at the beginning of that.
Because Triple H had it.
Yeah, Triple H was awarded it, and it was hot. Lesnar had the one on SmackDown.
Okay.
And it was to me, the beginning of it was good. It's around 05 where kind of.
I was going to say, it also depended to who the champion was.
Yeah.
Who the champion was and who held the belt. It seemed like whoever held the belt on Raw, of course, had the more significant role. But
remember, the main company title at the time was on SmackDown.
Yeah, so one question. Did you think that when CM Punk and Mark Henry or CM Punk and Daniel Bryan or even at that time might have been CM Punk and
was Jeff Hardy?
Randy Orton, when they both held the titles in 2011-ish, going into 2012, did you guys feel like it was equal or did you still feel Raw was the bigger title?
I thought by then Raw kind of
took over.
got all the main people.
Actually, when you say Orton and I would say Mark Henry and Batista, and of course Edge,
and that's
and Taker too. I
Yeah,
felt like
Taker,
when those guys had the belt on SmackDown,
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was some of the other ones I was like,
Because it did get a couple of
questionable
WrestleMania main events too.
Oh, no doubt.
No,
Yeah,
like
it
you said, Taker and Edge were two of the guys that I remember, and Batista were three of the guys. Like in what they were saying in 2000, maybe 5 or 6. That's when they were Batista and Cena were sort of neck and neck. To me, I felt like at that point when Cena finally came to Raw, the title was. But like I said, one guy took off and the other guy sort of. I don't know what you call it because he didn't really plateau. It's just I don't feel like he got any further than where he was trying to go.
You could say he hit his ceiling.
But that's exactly what it was.
He didn't break through it.
Right, and I think that's what happened.
Cena became the more crossover appeal where Batista was over with the wrestling crowd, but just not over with the outside crowd.
Right. Not that. Yeah, I agree. So I see on both ends. Well, I see in some regards It was even at one point, but then like I said, it also depends on who had it because anytime Edge or Taker or they had it, I felt like it was you needed to see SmackDown because you wanted to see what Edge was going to do. You needed to see what Taker was getting involved in because versus I don't know, you know what I mean.
And the Heyman when he was on SmackDown, he had the SmackDown 6, so that
Right.
kind of helped. The writing also helped that out, and for a moment, SmackDown was a better show.
I would say
Yeah.
And just
I
similar
don't
to Brian, I mean, I grew up not having cable until like my junior year of high school.
Mhm.
So for the longest time, I was a person SmackDown faithfully. I was there.
UPN,
right.
baby.
If
Yeah,
I could,
Thursday
if I
nights.
could go over to a friend's house or watch Raw somehow that way, then that's the only way I was able to get Raw. So I was
Right.
a huge SmackDown person for the longest time. And when they had the SmackDown 6, I mean, this is after, I had cable, but still, I mean, this is when I'm like, okay, SmackDown is back to being that show.
Right.
It's kind of plateaued since, so we're hoping that with the live show, it'll get back to what SmackDown used to be.
And it's
But,
on USA, right?
Yeah,
it's
both
on
shows
USA.
on USA.
Yeah, so they're going USA
And-
gonna push that.
And it's going to be live, so I mean,
And the draft will be
it'll be
on that
nice.
first live show.
Yeah.
So
July 19th.
So they'll set the tone the right way.
And I don't want to see any spoilers for the draft.
I
I
don't
don't want
either.
to see
I don't
nothing.
either.
I want to be. I want to watch it as if I'm watching the MLB draft. I would say NBA and NFL, but we always know who gonna go 1 and 2. I want to watch it like I'm watching MLB draft.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie and Shane been running the show. What are you guys' thoughts about Stephanie and Shane running the show right now?
It's different. To me, it's a little stagnant because I can't tell the direction of what the authority figure stands for. For me, wrestling has always been some sort of main authority figure in one way or another, whether it's heel or face, right? You kind of have both because you have Stephanie sort of being very neutral about the situation versus Shane being the fan favorite that's sort of come back from being absent from the company for so long, right? So it's like, okay, they're getting along now as brother and sister, but at some point I feel like there will be a split. To me, it would make sense to keep Stephanie on Raw because she'll be naturally despised as the boss's daughter versus Shane. That's automatically going to bring eyes to your product because, one, he's still the prodigal son that's returned home. You know what I mean? And he'll have no problem saying, well, shoot, I think I can make SmackDown a better Raw and show. And to be honest, that's the goal. Raw's been out for who knows how long. To me, it's established. Doesn't matter what you do with it. It's going to be fine the way it is. SmackDown needs to be a better show because you need reasons to tune in to say, I need to make sure it's going to be Tuesdays, right?
yep, Tuesdays,
Tuesdays.
8 p.m.
Because that's usually when they record it anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like they say, okay, we need to make SmackDown a better show. So it's must see TV like Raw is. I think Shane can help with that being on SmackDown.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm excited just to see. Well, one, having the McMahons back is always great. Especially anytime they're on television, it's must see TV for me. The days of the Johnny Aces, the Vicky Guerrero,
People
they
power.
they were cool, but give me
Teddy Long.
Holla, holla,
yeah,
holla.
Tag matches everywhere.
give me Stephanie and Shane. Like I said, Shane's a fan favorite. He's to me, unless it would be very hard for him to be a heel. But I like what Stephanie did on the most recent episode on Monday Night Raw when she called out Dean Ambrose and said nothing was more embarrassing than him being the champion.
Ouch.
That was
I
fun.
thought that was great. It
That
was
was
typical Stephanie McMahon. And then a few weeks ago when she was with the New Day, they did a heelish move because just when she was about to dance,
She just shake her tail feather.
yeah, right.
I'm like, oh, come on. I was waiting for that, but I said, here it comes.
She was
Even
going
my-
back to John Cena and her.
Right.
Even my wife was like, "Man, I wanted to see Stephanie twerk," but very heelish move for them to make it not happen. So, if she was a fan favorite, she would have did something. But it's good.
She should have shook her tail feather.
Like she did with John Cena in 03. Went great.
Oh, wait, you talking about when John Cena actually smacked her
Yes.
on the booty?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. Since we're running out of time, what are you guys' thoughts about Roman Reigns and his suspension?
Test,
Damn.
test,
Damn
test.
it. I've been waiting for this.
Test, test,
Oh,
test.
gosh. To me, it's I don't want to call it poetic justice because you don't want to wish stuff like that on anybody. But to me, it's the dumbest thing like someone's trying to give you the world,
Well, it was dumb.
and you're already not liked by many because people are confused in regards to your role and what they're trying to play. You got a guy that's supposed to be the next big face of the company, but you get booed out the building. So they settle for, well, at least people care about him. Sure, at least he's getting some sort of reaction. Okay, cool. So they put him in this position. He's been given the title when Rollins went down to carry the brand, and then all of a sudden he gets suspended. It's like right before the marquee pay-per-view matchup that everyone's been trying to get their hands on. This is the Shield. You know, finally the Shield at one point, like I can imagine them putting the video packages together already, and then all of a sudden he ruins that now because now it's in like someone's gonna say if he's still in this match, someone's gonna say, well, why does he get a chance to be in this match? But after he got suspended this way,
Even if he loses or get beat
Right.
up and doesn't get any
I feel like
offensive,
if he
he's still there.
loses, he's gonna be on Superstars next week. Probably not that bad, but he might lose to social
I think
outcast.
I think
in a
he takes
handicap
the
match.
pin in this match, though.
Yeah,
takes the pin.
he's gotta be the one to put somebody over. As good as he can, I guess. I suppose.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, bro.
I don't think he did it on purpose. I really think
I think it was an accident.
No, I'm sure it
Yeah.
was, but it's like, come on now, like you're the champion now.
you are the champion. You should be aware of what you're putting in your body.
How did Shawn Michaels get away with it? You should have studied that. That's what he should have studied. Whatever HBK did to get away with everything, I didn't just study that because it worked for him.
I just, he should have been more careful what he put in his body, because I'm like, I don't know him. And I said this on the Wrestling Summit the other day, on Sunday, but I just don't see Roman Reigns trying to get a competitive edge. You're already, like you said, you're already champion. You've already been given a world, probably more than what people feel you should have, regardless to how hard they want to tell us he works hard. But it's like, come on. But I just don't think he did that. I think it's just.
Well, let me ask you this. That maybe somebody can clear. What exactly did they say? What's
They're not saying.
They're
Okay.
not saying a
Because
thing.
we
they're not
just
saying-
know it wasn't marijuana, because if it was marijuana, according to the wellness policy that's on WWE.com, he would have only been fined. So
Right.
we know it was a
Okay.
PED of some sort.
So you think he's probably taking something for recovery?
Maybe recovery, maybe, that's probably what it was.
Because
I
you look
can
at
see
Adam Rose first, he was saying like this. I took something that they told me I was accused of something that I didn't know wasn't good legal, or I took something that I had prescription for and they misconstrued it.
Mhm.
Versus him saying, I know what I did, I own up to it, I messed up. It is what it is.
And that's the reason why I think he's just being like, you know what, I did it, I was wrong, rather than fight it.
Right.
Yeah.
And who knows? He probably said, "Well, shoot, I can use the rest."
I was gonna say he probably just wanted time out. That's what Randy Orton used to do. Every time he went time out, he just acted a fool and
I
get
need
suspended.
a rest.
I need 60 days off.
yeah,
Why couldn't CM Punk do that? I don't understand.
yeah, he's straight
I don't-
edge.
Yeah, there you go. They said him and Lou Gallows said on the pod, they just eat all the time, like eat cupcakes and sweets. That was their, since they didn't drink or do anything like that. That was how.
Oh,
they dealt with
Gallows didn't do that either. Oh,
No, Gallows did, but when they were in the gimmick, they had to live it sort of,
Oh, okay.
sort of protecting the business
Oh.
outside. So they were, we don't be someone with straight edge and his fans see you at the bar,
Yeah.
4 a.m. drinking a brewski.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I just don't like that he's in the triple threat match. It sets a bad standard to me.
In what way?
I mean, hey, I could cheat and still be in the main event of a pay-per-view.
Well,
But I think it hurts him more he's not at the draft. Because he's supposed to be one of the anchors of these
Yeah.
shows.
so he won't be eligible for the draft because he's
Nope.
suspended.
Nope.
I think he'll be drafted.
Guess the day after he can come back. The 20th.
What I'm thinking is that
But he can't be drafted, like Brian said. He will be drafted.
he'll be drafted. What they'll probably do is set it up so that way he just appears on one show and it's like, oh, Roman Reigns is on Raw.
He's gonna
Like,
be like, hey everybody, I'm on Raw now.
But it would have been cool to see because,
Bland.
rumors are saying him and Seth on Raw, Cena, AJ on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it would have been cool to see, like, if that was the case, him and Seth kind of have a, preview to their battle because that's going to be the rivalry.
Why?
But,
Oh, hop on, man. All right, y'all. Well, this concludes our wrestling segment. We want to definitely thank the Wrestling Realm for helping us out, and we'll continue to do more of these throughout the summer. Make sure y'all go to our Twitter poll and answer, does Derrick Rose make the Knicks contenders, yes or no? And next week, we'll be discussing UFC because Brock Lesnar will be at UFC 200.
Well, here comes the pain.
So we also want to thank True Sounds for our theme song. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, The Flex Zone. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Flex Zone 1. If you have any questions, ideas, or possibly want to be a guest, send an email to theflexzone1@gmail.com. And come on out July 14th and support us as the Flex Zone will be live at the Red Line Hotel at 7 p.m., y'all. This is the Flex Zone, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Until next week, peace.
Peace. We gone.